I'm Vision. Can't you tell? This is my Vision face. I don't know why I did this. Okay, going normal. This is the worst day of my life. I've accidentally stained my face completely red. But today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch Pro. So please do me a giant favor, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And hopefully I managed to fix this before the end of the weekend. But we're going to be diving deep on some of the new stuff that's just been released about the Nintendo Switch Pro, which is that apparently not only does it exist, it's going to have some exclusive games. And I want to try and be very unbiased about this. I want to try and look at the good and the bad, why this is actually kind of amazing, and why it might end up screwing over a couple of fans. So obviously the last 72 hours has been an absolute whirlwind with the reveal of the Bloomberg report, which kind of outlined the fact that there is in fact a new Nintendo Switch that's being released this year. Holiday 2021, there's going to be a giant new Nintendo console, but it's one of those basic upgrades. It's going to be better than a current Nintendo Switch, but it's not going to be the Nintendo Switch 2. Instead, it's going to be featuring a series of very awesome incremental upgrades, including a bigger screen, a higher quality screen that's going to be OLED, and most importantly, when you put this thing in a dock, it's going to output at 4K. So that means when you're playing this on a big screen TV, it's going to look pretty freaking decent. Now, I'm excited about this, but one of the questions that's been certainly floating around is the fact that what's the downside of this? Could there actually be some Nintendo Switch exclusive games, things that will only exist on the Pro? Because this has happened in the past. Well, it's actually just been confirmed here. This is a post over on ResetEra. This is NateDrake. NateDrake is obviously the very, very famous leaker who's revealed so much deep, crazy stuff about Nintendo. He's talking about the fact that there is in fact going to be some select exclusives to the Nintendo Switch Pro, especially from third-party partners. Maybe not a big number of them, but I know of at least one. Now this to me is very fascinating because I feel like it's starting to show the fact that it seems like Nintendo realizes that they need to try and future-proof their tech with all these new systems coming out, with graphics continuing to push the boundaries, with games managing to be bigger than ever. Nintendo realizes that in order to keep up, they do need some power. They don't necessarily need to try and match the graphics and processing power or whatever, but I think that they realize that they need to try and keep up a little bit. Now, it seems like there's probably going to be at least a decent chunk of them. So what I did is I actually came over to this article on gamingintel.com, and they did something fun, which was the fact that I'm somebody that owned the 3DS back in the day and the new 3DS. And one of the ways that Nintendo tried to incentivize people to pick up this tiny minor upgrade is the fact that there were actually a few exclusive games to the new 3DS, which they listed here. Things like Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade Chronicles, which was called Xenoblade Chronicles, I think they called it Enhanced Edition or something, Minecraft, and more exclusives to the new 3DS system. Perhaps the Nintendo Switch Pro's extra functionality will make it a must for certain new titles in particular. Now this to me is a double-edged blade. I've seen a lot of talk about this, and some people seem to be a little bit afraid of this. Now I want to look at the positives and the negatives in the most neutral lights. Let's start off positive, which is the fact that the Nintendo Switch does need this. I love my system. I certainly have great times playing my Nintendo Switch, but the graphics at times, especially the resolution, could certainly use an update. The fact that they're going to be practically unlocking the power, giving people access to much better toolkits, this is only going to help games be bigger and better and for a lot longer. It's going to give them a chance to make games look a lot freaking more enhanced. And this also seems like the fact that Nate specifically mentioned third-party partners, it's making me feel like there's maybe some sort of like Switch Pro dev kit that's being handed to people in select areas of the industry. Maybe there is something like a new Resident Evil. Maybe there's some giant new special Monster Hunter or something that's going to be much more glorious and something that just wouldn't quite run on a Nintendo Switch. Now, part of the reason I love this is because I am very, very in love with my Switch right now. I think the exclusives are fantastic. Stuff like Luigi's Mansion 3 or even just some indie exclusives like Hades are freaking fantastic, but you can tell those resolution dips. You can tell that even with custom engines, freaking top-of-the-line programmers, some of these games just don't look as good as I wish that they kind of hoped. This seems like a great chance to see that great Nintendo shine. I'm always wanting to see Nintendo push boundaries, and not just with gimmicks, not just with motion controls and vibrating controllers, but actually show us the glorious art that you guys are famous for. But let's look at the downside, because I have seen some people nervous that this is the beginning of a next generation. I've seen some people saying stuff like, what if they try and put another Breath of the Wild on there? What if we start seeing exclusives that are first party? What if we start seeing Nintendo games made by Nintendo that will only run on the Switch Pro? I don't see that happening personally. It just seems like a bit of a detriment. And additionally, right now there is a gigantic install base for the Nintendo Switch. There is just tens of millions of people that already own the Nintendo Switch Standard or the Nintendo Switch Lite. And I don't think that they would want to alienate them with mainstream exclusives yet. It's difficult for me to imagine a game like something like the new freaking Pokemon that's coming out, that's supposed to be big and open world and glorious. Even though that game looks like it would probably benefit from a Nintendo Switch Pro exclusive, I feel like Nintendo realizes that that would, in fact, hurt their bottom line. If you say, no, this is only for the tiny freaking base over here, it does seem like that would end up like hurting profits and stuff in the long run. It just seems like I'm excited because this does seem like a win-win scenario. There are some studios that, if they choose to do so, can possibly proposition Nintendo and say, we need more juice. We need to put this game only on the Nintendo Switch Pro, and they have that ability. And then those who want to try and make the biggest game for the biggest audience, they still have that option as well with the standard Nintendo Switch. I'm most curious now to see how these games are going to look. I love my Switch a lot. I'm definitely happy with the games we have, but if Splatoon 3 or something ended up landing on the Switch Pro, or something like Metroid Prime 4 ended up only being on the Nintendo Switch Pro, I'm kind of curious to see how glorious or how gory it's going to be. But I guess we're going to find out. It's kind of bizarre to think about, but I truly believe that this might end up being like an October or a November release. This might only be 7 or 8 months away. And I'm already freaking excited for the big reveal of it. But what do you guys think? Are you excited for the Nintendo Switch Pro, or does this all seem a little bit soon? Did you just pick up your Nintendo Switch a little bit late and you've just hopped on the bandwagon and it's already leaving the station? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. I cannot believe how red I am. Oh my god, it looks so bad on camera. Oh my god. Am I going to get canceled? Is somebody going to think that I'm trying to do some sort of weird stuff? Oh, God. I promise this is just me accidentally being an idiot. Oh, it stained my hands, too. Oh, no. Oh, and my shirt. Oh, God, I'm the dumbest. Let's zoom in. Let's make this extra bad. Can I? Where's the zoom in button? Oh, yeah, this thing. Oh, my God, it's terrible. What? I'm going to make this the thumbnail. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.